My name is Jason Matthews. I'm President and CEO of Matthews Financial Insurance Solutions. Always like to start off the meeting with a little quote, which is, the things we do today affects the things we do tomorrow. And a perfect example of that is, if you guys really know me, if anybody knows me, I'm a big-time Merritt College basketball fan. I like them more than the Golden State Warriors, the best team in Oakland, right? There's this kid a couple years ago, right, been taking bus. Mom finally saved up, bought a Mercedes, an older Mercedes of the 80s with a hatchback. And what's the first thing he do as being young? He put two 15s in it, and the music just playing loud, just right? And you just see him, if you guys know Merritt College is in the hills, beautiful view. You see him go up and down the hill all the time. One day you saw him on the side of the road. The car was smoking. And the car was smoking because he blew a head on his engine. Now the reason I say that compared to this is, if he only spent $20 to $30 getting an oil change, he would not blow a head. But he did not know that he was doing anything wrong because nobody ever told him you're supposed to get an oil change. All he knew was just loud music and rims on his car, and that was it. So like I said, with anything in life, usually the things we do today affects what happens tomorrow. And it's usually cheaper to fix it today than down the road, whatever problems or situations we fix. And so me and Steve have been working on this project now and our workshops and seminars now for the last 3 years. We started in San Angelo, now here. But we're really getting deeper and deeper on about how we can work our money till infinity or forever. So let me give you guys a little bit of background about myself. I've been now in financial services and insurance now since 2004. I started off with New York Life. I was with them for 5 years. Right now, my company, we're celebrating our 5th year anniversary. With that, we just opened up a brand new office in Jack London Square. Also National Secretary of the Urban Financial Services Coalition, which is the Urban Bankers. I'm currently studying for my CHFC, which I should be done by 2015, which is the end of this year. And people ask me, so Jason, so what do? I say we are a tax strategies and retirement planning firm. If you have questions about money that you have, accumulation you have, what should you do with your money, we are the people that you want to talk to. And what we do is we put plans and ideas and strategies together, unlike a lot of people. So before I go deeper in our planning style of what me and Steve do, we want to just talk about a little bit just about the economy, right? Right now, how many of you guys been getting gas and notice how much cheaper it is on your pocket right now for gas? Right? We're seeing gas, back when I was in high school, somebody gave me $5 and I could drive around all day after I dropped them off. But in the last couple years, $5 wouldn't take me 1 block. But now we're seeing those prices of gas drop heavily, over 50%. And it's great for the consumer. It's not just for our gas prices, but remember, so many things get done. Plastic is made with oil. Rubber for our tires get done. So it's helping out the consumer as prices drop with it. But there's some downfalls with it as well. One thing if you've been hearing about is in North Dakota, they're laying off 20,000 people. And the reason that is those people in North Dakota who had this huge economic boom for making oil, now the cost of have those people have oil doesn't make the same price as the cost of oil per barrel. So you have massive layoffs. You also hearing about corporations today, Exxon, Chevron, who's talking about their profit margins are dropping because of gas or oil. So we have to look at oil in our current economy and how it affects us more and more. Right now, China, right, they're saying they have helped out the Bay Area real estate market probably than no other market. Maybe New York or Miami might beat it, but if you look at how the Chinese dollar has helped out the Bay Area as far as bringing the price values up because of the huge amount of influx of money they have brought into our country, which is great. But the drawback, or what we have to really see when our own portfolios and our lives is, there's a huge slowdown right now in their economy, people are saying. Where before there was manufacturing is slowing down. They're saying they're having ghost towns because people are not building. And the third world countries who they thought was going to keep them strong is totally not right now. Also, we're looking at the European Union, right? Did anybody hear about what happened in Switzerland last week? Right? You give Switzerland, right, they have a negative savings rate right now, which means you give them $100, and just keep it simple, they're going to give you $99.75 back, which is weird. Europe right now having a lot of countries who are going through deflationary periods, which mean the cost of goods are dropping, which is a scary sign for Keynesian economics. Also, right now, to boost that up, they just put in $1.3 million and quantitative easing, which means this $1.3 million came from middle of nowhere, dump into the economy is about to take place. And so we have to look at those things and with all that and see how it's going to affect us and our shorts in America and how we need to look at that with our portfolio. But not last but not least is low interest rates, right? Do you see what the 30-year mortgage rate is right now for a home? With 3.65 is the national average right now. But at the same time, if you're a saver or accumulator, you're trying to build wealth as far as putting in a nice, safe park place, your T-bills and treasuries are not keeping up with inflation. So we have to look at all those things when we're looking at our portfolio and proper planning. So question, would you rather have $1 million once in your life, right? Or you would like to have $50,000 every year for the rest of your life? If you like $1 million, raise your hand. Or would you like to have a guarantee of $50,000 for your rest of your life? Raise your hand. Would you rather have $1 million once in your life? Or would you like to have $50,000 for your rest for every month or every year for the rest of your life? That'd be the thing about it. Because even if you get that $1 million, it's probably going to be taxed, so you're going to be in a higher tax rate. If you get $50,000 for the rest of your life, it's going to beat out that $1 million if you're young, like all of us are in here, we're going to have that for our whole life, year in, year out. And that's all we build wealth for, is to make sure that we have enough income to live our lifestyle that we want for the rest of our life over and over and over again. All right? But with that, there's 5 things that usually deflate our retirement dreams. One thing is our life expectancy. We don't know how long we're going to live right now. A lot of us are living a lot longer than we expected. Also, our standard of living. Inflation, and I need to add deflation right now because deflation is a concern now in our economy as we get more warnings about it. 4th is rate of return, and then our last is taxes. So let's talk about life expectancy. Right now, if you're 65 years old, you're going to live, if you're a male, till 84, right? Which is so much different. And give you guys a history of human civilization. In the 1800s, pension plans came out. The average person life expectancy was 47 years old. But if we look at it now through the vastness of society, now the average male is going to live in 84, woman's 86. And if we go further in history, or further down in the future, we don't know how much longer we're going to live, so we have to really consider life expectancy. You know, right now you got these 3D model printers that are making body parts, they're saying. So if you need a kidney, they could just put on the HP, goes, zzz, here's your kidney. And we don't know what advancements of technology is going to take place down the road. And with that, we always have to see is what happens if we live to our 90s and 100s? Do we have enough wealth? Do we have enough cash for that? And if not, what are the vehicles that we need to look at and how much do we actually have to save to live that way? Whoops. Now let's look at standard of living. How many of you guys spend more money during the weekdays or on the weekends? If it's on the weekdays, raise your hands. All right. How many of you guys spend more money on the weekends?
Especially this weekend.
Super Bowl party, Wingstop, right? Betting on the Seahawks, betting pools. We spend a lot of money on the weekends. We go on our dates with our spouses, spend money on kids on the weekends, and so on and so forth. So when you're retired, every day's a weekend, right? You talk to my mother. What's she doing Tuesday? Tuesday, hair day, right? She's retired. Wednesday, what is it? Movie day, right? So every day's a weekend. She's spending money nonstop. While when I was a kid on weekdays, she just took Bart to home, watch us play Little League, and so forth. But now, who wants to stay inside all day? You have to have some type of standard of living. So when we look at retirement, we have to look at what type of lifestyle we want. Is it going to be golf, right? And then how much golf are we really going to be playing? And what's the true cost of golf going into it now? Like one of my clients, he thought he's only going to be playing golf 2 or 3 times a week. He started playing golf, doing quite well still. He started getting more buddies who are always sitting up for golf. So his golf budget went from twice a week budget to now playing golf 5 times a week. And not just playing golf, because once you're on the golf course, you get hungry. Then you have to go out to eat. And if we all know when we go out to eat, you're paying about $10 to $15 plus tips. And he's a little bit older also, so now he has to take the cart. He's just not walking the 18 holes. That all costs. All those things add up. So when we look at retirement, we have to look at what type of lifestyle we want to have. Is it traveling? And here's the new one I'm seeing more and more. More and more people now are starting second careers to sacrifice for their kids' lives, where they worked hard, working a job they might not necessarily want to do, or might not be the best opportunity they feel like, but they say, I want to do it for my kids. Now my kids are grown, self-sustain themselves, and now they're starting to start their own businesses, doing some consulting, or even just giving back a lot of times in the community. Because staying at home and watching Judge Judy, Judge Mathis, divorce court, people's court, every court show and daytime, that's eventually gets boring, and we have to stay active some way or some lifestyle. And then when we also look at retirement is, what happens when I get old and I can't really take care of myself? Who's going to take care of me, right? Is it going to be myself? Is it going to be my kids? And if it's your kids, have you even talked to your kids about that? Have you talked to your kids like, if I get sick, are you going to wheel me around all day? Can you afford to wheel me around all day? Can you push me around and not work? If not, well, think about it. If we're getting to an older age where we might need help, 90 to 100, where our kids even have the physical health to take care of us. Our kids going to be 60 when we're in our 80s now, and they might be in that best health. I'm 30, and if I don't sleep right, my shoulder hurts sometimes now, right? So we have to look at that, and we have to look at long-term care planning sometimes. How many of you guys went to school back in the day where college in UC Berkeley was like $100 a unit, right? Not in my days, right? How many of you guys seen where energy prices were so low? Not just gas, but energy prices were low. And how many of you guys remember when Big Macs we used to get 2 for $1 on specials? Yeah, I remember those on Wednesdays. I remember in high school you used to have great days, early morning Wednesdays, right? But all those prices increased. And they all increased due to inflation, which is the cost of goods and the purchasing value of goods going up. And we look at our lifestyle, we always have to consider inflation. What's going to be the cost going down the road? And even think about your parents right now and our seniors and what they have to look for when we look at inflation. Then college education, on average, is saying it's 3.2% going up. So how many of you guys had those grandparents used to give you those saving bonds? You know, those little saving bonds, right? You know what I'm talking about. Oh, you're better than me, right? Cash those out a long time ago. But our grandparents was able to give us a savings bonds today, which you can electronically. Those saving bonds are less than 1% on average, all right? Which is horrible rate of return, especially when a lot of times they got it for us for college, and college goes up, the expenses of it goes up at least 3.2% when you combine private and public schools. So then, let me ask you guys this question. How much did Social Security payments go up this year?
It was like 3%.
Less than 3%, 1.7%. So we talk about all these things, and let's look at society of America. America, we get more and more of a two-class system. We got the poor and rich. Most people who are retired are struggling for a lot of times, right? They're living less than 50 grand a year. Majority of their income is through Social Security. And the problem with that right now is if you're somebody who's only living off of Social Security, that 1.7% is not going to cut it for your lifestyle. Everything's going up. You go to the movies if you're a senior on $5 Wednesdays, the cost of popcorn going up. So now you have to sneak your popcorn to the movie theater now, right? Right? You're now, when you're traveling more for them, if you didn't want to travel, and I'm talking about true traveling, prices are going up. When you retire, a lot of people say they want to retire. Travel around the world. And when we talk about traveling, we think, prices at airlines have not go up. But we've been getting hit with fees left and right. What type of fees I'm talking about? Baggage fees. Back in the day, bags were free. Now the only way you get baggage for free is through Southwest. And Southwest is any of that. That's why they buy air trans. Right? Before you used to get food on the plane. Now you can't even get food on the plane. Right? You have to buy food at the airport. Food on the airport now is expensive. You buy a Chipotle burrito there, it's like $12. Starbucks, $8. And you know you can't even sneak water bottles into it because now it's a safety hazard because of 9/11. And when we buy water there, it's over $5, $4, whatever, drastically, when water should just be 50 cents a bottle. So we have to look at all these things, how things costs are going up. Not just the true inflation where we see inflation, but the true cost of inflation of higher fees. I seen somebody cross the street from my office. I didn't see them, I saw their car. Their car got a boot on it today. Right? If you guys don't know what boot, they put a yellow thing on your car. You can't move it. You better move it in 24 hours, pay your ticket, or you get towed. Tickets in Oakland has drastically went up, right? Last year it was $58, now $68 before this going up. It costs more to do business now. Inflation, not inflation, but minimum wage in March in Oakland is going up to $12 and something cents. 25 cents. So as a business owner, you have to even consider inflation and what's going to happen. And then let's talk about the next thing. Whoops. Is rate of return. When we discuss rate of returns, everybody say they make money when they're making money, right? Everybody, yeah, make tons of money, right? 10%, 12%. But when we look at real rate of return, what we have to really look at is what's the rate of return after fees. You buy real estate from Kwame or Steve, you're paying your broker fees and commissions, you're paying for appraisals and everything else, right? You buy a mutual fund, there's fees and expenses with it. Your 401k plan got fees and expenses. So when we look at true rate of return, we have to really know what we're talking about and what's the true rate of return we're getting. So today, I looked at today, what's the rate of return that the average Dow Jones average and the S&P is getting? Since I was born September 27th, 1983. And this is from yesterday. Today values at the end of the bell is totally different because it went up a little bit. But the Dow Jones average only averaged 8.69% over 31 years. The S&P 500 is 8.22%. And you're like, wow, not great numbers, but it's good numbers. And it's good numbers, solid. It's not the 10.8% that everybody's talking about. But then also, if we look at our CD rate, so if we want to be completely safe, CDs for 5-year CDs less than 1%. Less than 1. And then when we look at CDs, you have to remember you get 1099 tax on those CDs. So every year you get the gain on it. Say you have $100,000, you're getting what, $92, and off that $92 you're going to pay taxes on it. But even with your Dow Jones average and the S&P, we still have to pay fees. And people fail to realize that. And now your simple index funds is getting what, 0.2%? But our most mutual funds that we get, these international funds and all that, we think is so sexy, is giving us 2%. Those 2% fees, it doesn't sound like much, it kills our wealth and it kills the erosion of our wealth. So when we look at when we look at your 401k plan, when we look at your planning, we have to look at the fees that are costing your plan and how it's going to erode your income in the future and erode your retirement plan. Because a 1% difference could be hundreds of thousands of dollars in your pocket down the road. Oftentimes people feel like when we retire or when we're living that taxes are going to go down when we retire. That's false. That's a hoax. There's a couple things. We might be in a lower tax bracket, but we lose two of our biggest things. Your kids here today is going to grow up. You can't get the deduction no more. Our houses, as we start paying them off, we won't get the home mortgage deduction like we used to. So oftentimes our tax rates, actually our effective tax rate might actually go up. And remember, with all this debt in America, we are not the dictator of tax rates. The government is. And if you really think about how much debt our government is doing, eventually, they're never going to pay off the debt, right? They're never going to pay off the debt, we know that. But they will raise tax rates for some of it to show that they are trying to make some type of debt. And we don't decide. Congress decides on it. And Congress is going to pick on taxing me, you, all of us, instead of Wall Street or big corporations, because those are the people who have lobbyists, 5-to-1, who avoid paying taxes, or have the people working for them to change the tax laws. And also, we have to look at just the physicalness of our city and states right now. Right? Oakland, in the last election, I was disappointed. They didn't talk about the huge amount of money they borrowed just to pay for the pension plans down the road. And all these things are going to be changed, are going to affect our tax rates down the road. So how can we properly plan for higher taxes? And how can we really diversify a little bit for it? One thing is we can start contributing to our Roth IRAs. We put the money in, the money grows tax deferred, and we can pull it out tax free. Number two, more and more companies I'm seeing is allowing us to contribute to a Roth 401k plan, which I think is great for a lot of people. The third thing is cash value life insurance, where it allows you to build up cash value, build up into it. You can set up as a pension plan like we designed to do. And the last thing is municipal bonds. You want to help with the city of Oakland, Alameda County, get the Raiders to stay, or the A's, to help donate towards a municipal bond. And what that municipal bonds do is they give you an interest rate, which is tax-free, while allows them to use the money to build a new stadium for the Warriors, a new stadium for the Raiders, and whatever, or homes or roads or whatever with municipal bonds. The interest on those are free or tax-free. So should be most people's ideal portfolio. Excuse me. Everybody should be different in their ideal portfolio. One thing everybody should have some type of, usually, if you're older, baby boomers, I should say, should have some type of guarantee money. Guaranteed money is the money, if you don't work, you get that money no matter what, as long as you work, which is usually your Social Security, your pension plan. Those are your guaranteed money. Your second one should be your taxable account. This is going to be your 401k plan, your IRA. If you're a small business owner, it should be a SEP. And if you're a really smart small business owner and you only have 1 or 2 employees, start looking at your solo 401k plan, your executive bonus plans arrangements. If you have any other questions, talk to me, or you can talk to Scott about those different type of taxes. The third account we always say is you want to have a tax-free account, which is your Roth IRA, your Roth 401k plan. Starting pretty soon, you're going to start seeing Roth 403bs if you work for a nonprofit. The fourth one is your tax-free guarantee money. As long as you work and contribute towards this, the money you pull out should be all tax-free for you. And that's using your permanent life insurance, which it should be added to your portfolio. And last but not least, which Steve is going to talk about a lot more, is adding real estate to that portfolio. Not just your personal home. That does not count. I'm talking about investment real estate, where you're getting some type of cash flow, building wealth. You know, most of the time we think we're getting a huge amount of money from our home, but historically it usually just beats out inflation. Nationally, Bay Area is a little bit different, but nationally wise. So when we look at retirement planning, we really get to our clients, and this is where the meat and potatoes. You accrue your money. You've been saving. You've been doing great. We look at one thing is we look at your basic necessities. How can we make sure that's covered every month so you have that income for the rest of your life? Living a comfortable lifestyle. The second thing, which means we look at a couple things when we say basic necessities. We look at your Social Security. We look at your pension plan. We look at your cash flow from your rental properties. All that adds up together to tell you what type of income you should have on a monthly basis, guaranteed. Because the worst thing that we want is bad surprises. We all love surprises. We just don't like bad surprises. And then, so once we got those necessities set up, we start looking at more aggressive investments. You know, so after you have those necessities, we can invest and play with the stock market, play with different investment types where it's a little bit more sexy, more attractive, but we want to make sure our necessities are taken care of. Because the worst thing you do in certain times is to be all sexy with your money when you're retired. And then the market drops the very next year. Look at all the people who retire in 07, 08. Market plummet, they can't go back to work. They're in a tight situation where they have to go back to work. And they have to face age discrimination. They can't go back to the same job no more. Their income plummeted. Their portfolio, what they thought they was going to retire, was totally different. If you're self-employed and you had a great year last year, you can still put money in your by yourself. You can still do a SEP account. If you didn't have a great year, but this is going to be a great year for you, you might want to just do a solo 401k plan for a tax deduction. Because the solo 401k plan advantage is you could be able to possibly put more money into that account now. And the biggest thing now is just like a 401k plan, you could borrow from that up to 50 grand of it, which is huge. So you have like a bad year with your business, you need to borrow some cash. With a regular IRA, you can't do that, but a solo 401k plan, you could borrow that money out, which is big. Solo 401k plan. But if you need a tax deduction this year, it's too late, or last year, it's too late to do. So as long as if you have that administrative application filled out, you've been okay. Any last questions? Give you guys 5 minutes to grab some wine, grab some cheese, grab some strawberries, and we'll switch it over, have Steve talk about more and using real estate aspect of your portfolio as well, which a lot of you guys come, invest, especially with it being such a hot market right now, being the #1 real estate market in the world, Oakland, California. So go ahead, give you guys 5 minutes.